Okay, now hello, welcome back everyone. Today I'm Kevin from APSC, and what I have in front of me here is something from Fujifilm. Now this is, if you don't know yet, wait, how the heck do I take this lens cap off? There you go. It is an APS-C camera which cannot be taken off this lens, so that means that it's either a X100 something, and this is the original X100. So in front of me you can see this writing, Fujifilm X100. This thing has the hybrid viewfinder, which is pretty cool, at least as I thought. Yeah, so now let me go talk about this thing. This thing is a 12 megapixel camera, which is way more than enough for me. I actually like 8 megapixels on APS-C, but I don't know why manufacturers actually still want to have like super high megapixel counts, like this A6400, which has 24 I think megapixels, which is way too much. But okay, let's take that thing on let's discuss that thing on another day. Today I'm gonna be discussing this guy. So I got this thing for pretty cheap, which is about 150 USD, I think, around the price. Yeah, so that is with this hood, this charging port, which is for power bank. I'm not sure why I got this thing. Then oh, it's a bit too bright. Let's see. Let's bring it to ISO 400 maybe. 320. Okay, so then I got this super sketchy as heck charging port, which is USB-B and has like this super janky ass hot glued in port, which I'm not sure this thing actually, not sure how this thing works. Then I've got 3 batteries. One red chromage battery thing, which is probably rubbish. One wasabi power battery, which is okay enough. I like wasabi power because it's like the perfect balance between like cheap and not very good. Yeah, what you call this thing? Cheap and good enough. That's how I'm supposed to say it. So then another one inside this thing, which is the wasabi power battery right here. So next, let's put this guy in and put the SD card in, so I can actually use this thing for a while. So it goes facing this way, the shiny part of the writing part in the front, just like that. Then on my model, the AFMF switch, which is what the heck is this thing called? This switch, the front thing right here. This thing did not work in the afternoon, so that's why I'm recording this thing again at night with my AC like drowning in the background. So this now actually works, and let me show you how this actually works later. So I'm gonna first turn this thing on. The lens is a bit noisy. It does have a leaf shutter, but the leaf shutter is a bit noisy, quite a bit more noisy than like normal small leaf shutters like the Sony RS100 I think, or the RX1. So then let's see. This has this standard, what you call this thing, Fuji menu, which I've like been used to already for my XE1. Then let's focus a bit closer a bit, like by this much. So then this thing actually does have a ring on the front, 2 rings actually. So the front ring is actually for focus. If you flick this thing into MF, you can actually focus. So there's like this distance meter on the front, on the back, if you can actually see. See? Thing is that it's not proportionate, all this thing, so it's not very clear where you're actually focusing. So you can't like focus with your hands like a proper lens, like my Jupiter 3 here, which can be focused. Like if you turn this much, it's only gonna focus this much. This thing does not do that, which is pretty bad, I'd say, because you can't really focus properly. Then the back ring, which is pretty odd, is the aperture ring, and my light is blinking. So let's try fixing this light. Okay, And the thing about the aperture ring is, let me go focus back down there, yeah. Okay, so let's zoom back out. On a normal lens, you would have the focus ring on the back and the aperture ring on the front, like this Yashica 45mm f1.7. You actually have the focus on the back and aperture on the front. And on this Jupiter 3, focus on the back and apertures on the front. Then on this Helios 103, focus on the back, aperture in the front. So if you do get the point, it's essentially that Fuji has got it upside down, and I do not like this, especially because this thing has prongs, which are like usually for the focus gear on the Yashinon, like these black prong thingies that stick out a bit. That actually bothers you when you're not in f2 mode. So now it's f2. If you actually flick it into like f4 and try focus how you usually focus, this thing can actually bother you sometimes. Like sometimes you actually like get this thing in the way of your hand while focusing. So that's like very inconvenient to me, and I do not like that at all. So then next thing I'm going to talk about is the features essentially. So this thing has a few dials, which are like this top dial thingy, which sets your shutter speed. It can go up to 1/4000, which is only accessible in f8 mode. So you gotta switch it down to f8 like this before you can actually access the 1/4000 mode. Then what if you switch this thing to f4? At f4 you actually unlock the 1/2000 mode. Then if you wanna shoot anything over the, slower than 1/2000, you can do that without f4, so you can just flick it into f2 again, and f2 works with 1/1000 up to 1/4 seconds. And I'm not sure what this T is because I'm not a Fujifilm user, and technically I am, but I'm not like one of those Fujifilm regulars, so I'm not really sure what that is. Then B is obviously bulb. So then let's flick this thing back to A, because I don't really like to care about the shutter speed. Then you got this EVCOM dial, which I do not like at all. This thing, I've gotten pretty used to having these things on cameras from the A7S, but the thing is that I don't really like them, and because I don't really use them at all. I don't like overexposure stuff for like, in auto mode at least. I do sometimes like push stuff in manual mode, but not in auto mode. Then you got the FN button, which has been remapped to the ND filter setting. So this thing actually has an internal ND filter where you can actually set this thing to like darken itself outside. So because of the fact that this thing has the 1/1000 second limit for the f2 mode, you can actually use this FN button to like turn on the ND filter, and you can actually shoot a bit darker. So if it's like super bright outside, you can actually cut that down and use a slower shutter speed. Then next thing I have to show you is this, the back bit. So the back actually looks like this. It's got a small screen, an OVF or EVF. I'm gonna show that to you. It's gonna be very cool. Then you have this play button right here. This, what you call this thing? Diopter setting. AE button, which is also the zoom button in the preview mode. Then you got this AF button, which is the zoom out button on the preview mode. View mode, which is the setting between the eye finder thingy and the screen. And then you got like normal stuff. This is the display, like what's on display. Then this is the AE lock thingy, and this is the ISO dial, and that's the drive macro and stuff like that. Then this is for the HDMI, which is pretty big for some reason. Not sure why they actually put HDMI on this thing. And this, which is the flicky dial to change between EVF and OVF. Okay, so let's turn the camera on. Now the lens actually moves on this thing. flick this thing to MF, see, you can actually focus and see the lens move. See, so it's not internal focus, and that's why I'm not pushing this thing. I'm putting this thing on the table while I use it. I mean, show how it works. So next thing is, let me go try standing up, because sitting down doesn't really work. Let's focus a bit closer. So now we have this view right here, yeah. So let's show you what playback does. It just like shows you your old images. Then you got this AE button, which is for the multi and spot and stuff like that. Got an AF button, which is to like set your AF points. Then you got the view mode, which is to like set between the eye finder and your screen. Then you got AEL, which is lock, obviously, so you can lock it and let go. Then you got this drive setting, which is for Fuji cameras, the place where you find video mode, which is there, see. Okay, then let's come back out. Then you got the macro mode. The flash mode does not work on mine, I'm not sure why. Like, you can press it, it actually works if you go in menu mode, but you can't really set it to flash. Then WB, which is there. Okay, then you got this display info. Then you got this, which is ISO, and the ND filter is activated with this button. So if you press this thing, ND will come out. Okay, then the shutter sound sounds like this. Which is pretty loud for me, because I'm used to the electronic shutter of my Sony cameras, but for you it might be pretty silent. It's obviously more silent than my Yashica 14E or the Yashica, what you call this thing? Electro 35, but I'm not sure why this thing still sounds that loud. Then it's also got a little dial in the back, which I'm not sure why this thing is for and what this thing is for, but let's go and set this thing to infinity and check out the viewfinder. So let's turn this thing on. Oh shit, I just banged into my own camera. The heck. So I've got my Samyang lens on this thing, which is probably not gonna cut it. Let me go change on to the Helios 103 for a while. So this Helios actually has a lens cap, which might go in the way, but I'm not sure. So let's see. Go. Let's put this here at f1.8. Then let's zoom in. Then let's show you this. So turn this thing on, and in the viewfinder you can actually see this, which is nothing. How the heck can you see nothing? Okay, you can actually see some stuff, so I think it's a bit too tight, this lens. Let's change on to the Konica C35 AF, I mean MF. Let's see if I can plug this thing off and switch over to this thing. Okay, now let's see if I can actually focus. What the heck's that thing? Okay, so let's see. Is this thing in? Okay, so let's then focus down here, and this is what you see in the viewfinder. And the thing that's cool about this thing is that you can actually switch between this setting and the OVF. So you only need to push this little button right here on the front. It's all in bokeh, but it's on the front right there. So let me go focus it a bit closer again. Flick it, and you're back into the OVF. So this thing's optically here, so it's no lag at all. and you actually have the frame lines and stuff like that, which is pretty cool for me. Okay, then let's switch back to the Samyang. So the real selling feature for me is and for this thing is only the OVF, nothing else essentially. So everything else to me feels mushy and like, I won't say cheap, but it feels a bit cheap actually. It feels, the dial actually feels pretty cheap. Like you can't press the middle with my finger at least. So I'm lucky I have this long thumbnail, which some of you have criticized in my videos, but this thing is pretty useful for pressing this menu button. See? Let's focus this thing back in. Okay, so that's pretty much the use of this thing, and opening lenses, nothing else. If you use your whole thumb, it won't press because it's actually inside the button. So unless you have like small fingers like this, you can actually press this thing. If not, you can't. Then the whole dial feels super like light, which I'm not sure why. Might be my bad copy, might be something else. And yeah, that's more or less it for the Fuji X100. Hopefully you liked the video. Oh shit. Please like, subscribe if you want. If you don't want, then that's fine with me. Thank you and goodbye.